The moment the lights flickered on and the camera zoomed in, nobody was ready for what came next. In a voice that sounded both defiant and haunted, Mendeecees Harris leaned forward and dropped a bombshell that instantly sent shockwaves through fans across the internet. What started as a quiet sit-down spiraled into a jaw-dropping confession involving a shadowy drug past, a chilling decision to use his own mother as collateral, and a terrifying kidnap attempt that nearly tore his family apart. Fans are shocked, emotions ran high, and within minutes, social media was on fire with disbelief, outrage, and fear. "You don't know what survival really is until everything you love is on the line," he said, his voice cracking as the room fell silent. That single sentence set the tone for a story that felt less like an interview and more like a ticking time bomb. Viewers could sense it immediately. This wasn't damage control. This was a reckoning. As the camera cut to dramatic close-ups, Mendeecees claimed that choices he made in the past came back with a vengeance, dragging his family into a world they never asked to be part of. According to him, there were debts, threats whispered through burner phones, and one moment so desperate that he allegedly put his own mother's safety up as collateral just to buy time. "I thought I could control it," he admitted. "I thought I was protecting everyone. But protection," he suggested, came at a terrifying cost. Then came the claim that made everyone's stomach drop. A night that began like any other allegedly ended with masked men, a blacked-out SUV, and his young son almost vanishing without a trace. "That scream still wakes me up," he said quietly. "I heard my son call my name." Fans are shocked not just by the story itself, but by how raw and shaken he appeared recounting it. Reactions from those closest to him only added fuel to the fire. Some family members were said to be furious that these secrets were kept for so long. Others questioned whether the danger was truly over. "You put us all at risk," one heated voice was heard saying off camera, as tensions spilled into the open. The family was left divided, trust hanging by a thread. As the hook of this explosive story tightened, one question loomed large. Was this a man finally telling his truth, or a carefully crafted narrative meant to rewrite a troubled past? With every word, suspense grew thicker, and viewers knew they were about to be pulled into a saga filled with fear, guilt, and consequences that refused to stay buried. This was only the beginning. The room felt heavier than silence as Mendeecees Harris leaned back in his chair and let out a slow breath that sounded like it had been trapped in his chest for years. He stared at the floor, then at the camera, then away again, as if he were bracing himself for impact. This wasn't just a story he was telling. This was a past he had spent years running from, and now it was standing right in front of him with nowhere left to hide. Fans are shocked not only by what he was about to say, but by how raw and exposed he looked, like a man stripped of all defenses. He started quietly, almost cautiously, explaining that long before the cameras, before the fame, before the opinions of millions, there was survival. He described nights that blurred into mornings, decisions made with fear instead of logic, and a world where loyalty was currency and silence was safety. He said he was young, reckless, and hungry for more than what life had handed him. Emotions ran high as he admitted that the streets promised fast money but delivered lifelong consequences. Every word felt like a confession, not just to the audience but to himself. As he spoke, memories seemed to take over. He described being pulled deeper into a drug world that didn't care about dreams or families. It only cared about power and control. He claimed there were moments when he wanted out, moments when he told himself one last move and then he'd be done. But that last move kept stretching further away. Friends turned into liabilities, and enemies smiled like brothers. The pressure, he said, was constant. One wrong step could cost you everything. Then his tone shifted, his voice hardened, and the pain behind his eyes became impossible to ignore. He revealed that the danger didn't stay in the streets. It followed him home. He said people knew where he lived, who he loved, and how to hurt him without laying a finger on him. This was when his family became leverage. Fans are shocked as he admitted that the threats weren't vague. They were specific, detailed, and terrifying. He talked about his mother next, and the room seemed to tighten even more. He described her as his backbone, the one person who never gave up on him even when she didn't understand his choices. His voice trembled as he confessed that at his lowest point, when debts were piling up and time was running out, he made a decision that still haunts him. He claimed he used his own mother as collateral, not physically handing her over, but allowing her name, her safety, and her peace to be tied to his promises. He said it was the darkest moment of his life, knowing that if he failed, she would pay the price. Cutaway reactions flashed in his mind as he spoke about telling her partial truths, just enough to keep her calm, just enough to protect her from panic. But inside, he said, he was breaking. The guilt ate at him daily. Every unanswered phone call made his heart race. Every knock at the door felt like the end. The family was left divided as secrets piled up and trust began to crack, even if they didn't yet know why. Then came the night that changed everything. His body stiffened as he described it, like reliving it in real time. It was supposed to be normal. Dinner, laughter, kids playing, the illusion of safety. He said he remembers checking the locks twice, something he had started doing without realizing it. Paranoia had become second nature. He admitted that fear had followed him for so long, he no longer questioned it. According to him, the first sign that something was wrong was the silence outside. No cars, no voices, just an unnatural stillness that made his skin crawl. Then headlights. Slow, deliberate, stopping just short of the house. His instincts screamed, but before he could react, chaos erupted. Shouting, footsteps, confusion. He said his heart stopped when he heard his son scream. Emotions ran high as he described running toward the sound, every worst fear crashing into him at once. He claimed there were men he didn't recognize, faces hidden, movements calculated. He said he remembers thinking this was it, this was the moment everything he tried to protect was about to be ripped away. Fans are shocked as he revealed that his son was targeted not by accident, but as a message. He described grabbing his child, pulling him close, feeling his small body shaking against his chest. Voices yelled, threats were made, names were spoken that only people from his past would know. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it stopped. The men retreated, disappearing into the night, leaving behind nothing but terror and unanswered questions. In the aftermath, he said the house felt unsafe, like the walls themselves were watching. His son cried for hours. His partner demanded answers. His mother sensed something was wrong but didn't yet know how deep it went. The family was left divided by fear, confusion, and secrets that could no longer stay buried. He admitted that night forced him to confront a truth he had avoided for years. The past was not past. It was alive, aggressive, and willing to destroy everything he loved to settle old scores. He said he realized that protecting his image meant nothing if his family wasn't safe. Fans are shocked as he hinted that the kidnapping attempt was only the beginning, not the end, of the consequences he was facing. As his voice lowered, he warned that there were still people out there who hadn't forgotten his name, people who felt owed, people who believed fear was the only language he understood. He said the weight of those threats followed him into every room, every conversation, every attempt at peace. And as he paused, staring directly into the camera, it was clear this story was far from over, because the danger, the guilt, and the fallout were still unfolding in real time. The days after that night blurred together into a haze of panic and unanswered questions. Mendeecees Harris said he barely slept, jumping at every sound, replaying his son's scream over and over in his head like a cruel loop he couldn't shut off. He claimed the fear didn't fade with daylight. If anything, it grew stronger. Fans are shocked as he described how safety suddenly felt like an illusion, something he used to believe in but no longer trusted. He said the first argument came the very next morning. His partner demanded the truth, her voice shaking with anger and terror. She asked who those men were, why their child had been targeted, and what kind of danger he had brought to their doorstep. He admitted he tried to minimize it at first, telling her it was probably a scare tactic, nothing more. But even as he said it, he knew it was a lie. Emotions ran high as he recalled her looking at him and saying she didn't recognize the man standing in front of her anymore. The tension in the house became unbearable. Whispers replaced normal conversations. Doors were locked constantly. Curtains stayed closed. He said his children started asking questions he didn't know how to answer. Why can't we play outside anymore? Why do you keep checking the window? Why are you always angry? Each question felt like a knife twisting deeper into his guilt. He claimed that word spread quickly behind the scenes. People from his past started reaching out, some pretending to be concerned, others thinly veiling threats as advice. He said his phone became a weapon, vibrating at all hours with messages that reminded him he wasn't as far removed from that life as he thought. Fans are shocked as he revealed that some of the voices on the other end laughed when he mentioned his son, as if fear was entertainment. His mother noticed the change too. She asked why he looked so tired, why he flinched when the doorbell rang. He said he wanted to tell her everything, to confess what he had done and the danger he had put her in, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. Instead, he kept lying, telling her work was stressful, that fame came with pressure. The family was left divided by secrets she didn't even know existed. Then came another twist. He claimed he received a message that made his blood run cold. It was short, direct, and impossible to misunderstand. It reminded him of his debt, mentioned his mother by name, and warned that next time there would be no stopping what was started. Emotions ran high as he described staring at the screen, realizing that the kidnapping attempt wasn't random or impulsive. It was calculated. Panic pushed him into action. He said he started making calls, trying to clean up messes that were years old. He reached out to people he swore he'd never speak to again. Old alliances resurfaced, but trust was fragile. Every conversation felt like walking on glass. Fans are shocked as he admitted that some people offered help, but only at a price that felt just as dangerous as the threats themselves. Inside his home, the emotional fallout intensified. His partner accused him of choosing the streets over his family, of prioritizing pride over safety. He said their arguments turned explosive, voices raised, tears spilled, accusations flying like bullets. She told him she was scared of him, not because she thought he'd hurt them, but because she didn't know what else he was hiding. That accusation cut deeper than any threat ever could. He described sitting alone late at night, replaying every choice he ever made, wondering where it all went wrong. He questioned whether fame had blinded him, whether he thought success could erase the past. Fans are shocked as he admitted that for the first time, he considered walking away from everything, even his public life, if it meant protecting his kids. But walking away wasn't that simple. He claimed the pressure from outside forces only intensified as rumors began to swirl. Whispers of trouble, speculation about his past, fans noticing his absence, his strained demeanor. The public didn't know the full story, but they could sense something was off. Emotions ran high as he felt trapped between protecting his image and protecting his family. The breaking point came during a heated confrontation with his mother. She confronted him late one evening, telling him she knew he was lying, that a mother could feel when something was wrong with her child. He said her words shattered the last bit of control he thought he had. His voice cracked as he admitted that he almost told her everything right then and there. Instead, he walked away, and that decision haunted him almost immediately. Fans are shocked as he revealed that just hours later, another warning arrived, this time more aggressive, more personal. It became clear that time was running out, and the consequences of his silence were growing more dangerous by the minute. As the weight of his past and present collided, he realized that no amount of money, status, or connections could undo what had already been set in motion. The fear was no longer just his to carry. It belonged to everyone he loved. And as he sat there, staring at his phone, hands shaking, he knew the next choice he made would determine whether his family survived this nightmare or whether it would tear them apart completely. The fear followed him everywhere after that, sitting in the passenger seat when he drove, standing in the corner when he tried to sleep. Mendeecees Harris said he began moving like someone who knew he was being watched, because deep down he believed he was. Fans are shocked as he described changing routes daily, checking mirrors constantly, memorizing faces in crowds. He said paranoia wasn't a phase, it was survival. He admitted that the next few days were filled with hushed conversations and desperate planning. He and his partner spoke in fragments, careful not to say too much even inside their own home. She wanted to leave, take the kids somewhere far away, somewhere unnamed. He said he couldn't promise her safety anywhere because the problem wasn't the location, it was him. Emotions ran high when he told her that running might only make things worse, a statement that sparked another explosive argument. She accused him of choosing pride over peace. She told him she didn't sign up for this life, that their children didn't deserve to grow up looking over their shoulders. He said her words hit him harder than any threat ever had. The family was left divided between staying together and staying safe, and for the first time, he feared those two things might not be possible at the same time. Outside the house, pressure mounted. He claimed people from his past began showing up in places they had no business being. A familiar face at a gas station. A car idling too long near his block. A stranger who knew his name without being introduced. Fans are shocked as he suggested these encounters weren't coincidences, but reminders that his past still had a grip on him. He said one meeting in particular shook him to his core. A man he hadn't seen in years approached him calmly, almost politely, and spoke like nothing had changed. The man referenced old favors, old debts, and then casually mentioned his mother again. That was when he realized the collateral he thought was symbolic had become dangerously real. Emotions ran high as he described feeling sick to his stomach, knowing he had crossed a line that couldn't be erased. That night, he finally broke. He sat alone in his car and cried, not the quiet kind of crying, but the kind that leaves you gasping for air. Fans are shocked as he admitted he felt trapped by his own choices, haunted by the realization that the people he loved most were paying for mistakes they never made. He said he prayed, not for success or forgiveness but for time. Time, however, wasn't on his side. Rumors started reaching his mother from outside sources, distorted versions of the truth that only made things worse. She confronted him again, this time with anger instead of concern. She demanded to know why people were asking about her, why strangers seemed to know her routine. Emotions ran high as he described the look on her face when she realized something was truly wrong. He tried to brush it off again, but she wasn't buying it. She told him she raised him better than this, that whatever trouble he was in, she would rather face it with him than be kept in the dark. Her strength broke him in a way threats never could. The family was left divided between honesty and protection, and he stood right in the middle, frozen. He claimed that shortly after that confrontation, the situation escalated in a way he didn't expect. His son started having nightmares, waking up screaming, refusing to sleep alone. His daughter became withdrawn, quieter than usual. Fans are shocked as he described realizing that even without knowing the details, his children felt the fear in the air. The danger had seeped into their innocence, and that realization filled him with rage toward himself. He said that rage pushed him to make a risky decision. He reached out to someone with the power to make the threats stop, someone who operated in a world he thought he had left behind for good. The conversation was tense, layered with history and unspoken resentment. Emotions ran high as he admitted that asking for help felt like admitting failure, but doing nothing felt worse. The response he received wasn't comforting. It came with conditions, reminders of hierarchy, and a warning that debts never truly disappear. Fans are shocked as he revealed that the price of protection might cost him his freedom in a different way. It was a choice between two nightmares, and he was running out of time to choose. Inside his home, trust continued to erode. His partner questioned every phone call, every late return, every whispered conversation. She accused him of dragging them deeper into danger instead of pulling them out. He said her fear was justified, but hearing it still hurt. The family was left divided not by lack of love but by overwhelming fear. As the days passed, his mental state deteriorated. He admitted to snapping at small things, losing patience, feeling like a stranger in his own body. Fans are shocked as he described staring at his kids and wondering if they would ever forgive him for putting them in this position. Guilt became a constant companion, heavier than any physical threat. Then came another message. This one wasn't a warning. It was a deadline. Emotions ran high as he described reading it over and over, feeling the walls close in. It made clear that the kidnapping attempt was just a preview, a reminder of what could happen if he failed to comply. The implication was unmistakable, and the fear it triggered was paralyzing. He said that was the moment he realized silence was no longer an option. Hiding the truth was no longer protection, it was a weapon being used against him. The past he tried to bury was demanding to be acknowledged, and the cost of denial was becoming unbearable. As he stared at the message, hands trembling, he understood that the next step would change everything. Whether it meant confession, confrontation, or complete collapse, there was no turning back now. The storm he thought he could outrun had finally caught up to him, and the calm before it broke felt more terrifying than the chaos itself. The deadline sat in his mind like a ticking clock, each second louder than the last. Mendeecees Harris said he could feel time slipping through his fingers, and with it, any illusion of control he thought he had left. Fans are shocked as he described waking up before sunrise, heart racing, already exhausted by fear before the day even began. He decided the truth could no longer stay locked inside him. The first person he chose to face was his partner. He said he sat her down in the living room, the same room where laughter used to echo, and told her everything he had been hiding. The drug past, the debts, the threats, the decision to use his mother as collateral just to buy time. Emotions ran high as he described watching her face change with every sentence, shock turning into disbelief, then anger, then heartbreak. She screamed at him. She cried. She accused him of betrayal on a level she never imagined. She said he didn't just lie to her, he gambled with their children's lives. The family was left divided in that moment, the air thick with words that couldn't be taken back. He admitted he didn't defend himself. He didn't interrupt. He felt like he deserved every ounce of her rage. When the tears stopped, she told him something that shook him even more. She said she loved him, but love didn't mean blind loyalty. She said if he didn't fix this, if he didn't put their children first immediately, she would leave. Fans are shocked as he admitted that ultimatum felt heavier than any threat from the streets. Losing his family suddenly felt more real than any physical danger. Next came the conversation he feared the most. His mother. He said he waited until late at night, when the house was quiet, when there would be no distractions. He sat across from her, unable to meet her eyes at first. Emotions ran high as he finally confessed everything, his voice shaking, his hands trembling, the words spilling out like poison he had held inside for too long. He told her how he had used her name as leverage, how her safety had been tied to his promises, how strangers knew who she was because of his mistakes. Fans are shocked as he described her silence, not the kind that screams, but the kind that cuts deeper than any anger. When she finally spoke, her voice was calm, almost too calm. She told him she was hurt, not just by the danger, but by the fact that he thought so little of her strength. She said she would have stood by him, but he robbed her of the choice. The family was left divided by pain and disappointment, but also bound by a love that refused to completely break. Her words stayed with him, echoing louder than any threat he had received. With the truth exposed at home, the pressure from outside intensified. He claimed the people making demands sensed the shift, as if honesty somehow weakened his position. Messages became more aggressive, tones sharpened, patience vanished. Fans are shocked as he described feeling hunted, like every step he took was being measured by unseen eyes. He decided to confront the situation head-on. No more stalling, no more half-promises. He arranged a meeting with the people who believed he owed them. The location was neutral, but the tension was anything but. Emotions ran high as he described walking into that room, every instinct screaming danger, every memory of his past flooding back at once. The conversation was cold and calculated. No yelling, no theatrics, just clear reminders of what was at stake. They mentioned his children again. They mentioned his mother again. Fans are shocked as he revealed that hearing their names spoken so casually almost made him lose control. He realized in that moment that these people didn't see his family as human. They saw them as pressure points. He tried to negotiate, offering money, connections, anything that could close the chapter for good. But the response was chilling. They told him it was never just about money. It was about respect, about unfinished business, about making an example. The family was left divided in his mind between those he needed to protect and the monster he needed to face to do it. Leaving that meeting, he felt defeated. The fear didn't ease. If anything, it grew heavier. He said he questioned whether there was even a way out anymore, or if he had backed himself into a corner years ago and was only now hitting the wall. Fans are shocked as he admitted he felt closer than ever to losing everything. At home, his partner had already started making plans. Bags half packed, documents gathered, emergency numbers written down. She was preparing for the worst. Emotions ran high as he realized she was no longer waiting for him to save them. She was ready to save their children with or without him. That realization broke something inside him, but it also ignited something else. Determination. He said for the first time, he stopped thinking like someone trying to survive and started thinking like someone trying to protect. He knew he couldn't play both sides anymore. He couldn't keep one foot in the past and one in the present. He reached out to legal help, to security, to anyone who could offer legitimate protection. Fans are shocked as he admitted he was willing to expose himself, his past, his secrets, if it meant shielding his family. The risk was enormous, but the alternative was unbearable. The atmosphere in the house shifted again, not to peace but to preparation. Routines changed, guards were discussed, exits planned. His children sensed the seriousness, even if they didn't understand it fully. The family was left divided emotionally, but united by necessity. As he sat alone one night, staring at the ceiling, he realized the story he was living was bigger than him now. It was about consequences catching up, about choices echoing through generations. And he knew the next phase would be the most dangerous yet, because stepping into the light meant making enemies who thrived in the dark. After hearing everything you just heard, one thing is impossible to ignore. This story isn't just about one man's past. It's about how far consequences can travel, how deeply they can cut, and how quickly everything you love can end up on the line. Fans are shocked because what started as survival turned into a nightmare that refused to stay buried. Emotions ran high from beginning to end, and even now, nothing feels fully resolved. You've just witnessed a journey filled with fear, guilt, denial, and painful honesty. A family pushed to the edge. A mother pulled into danger she never chose. Children forced to feel fear before they ever understood it. And a man standing at the center of it all, realizing too late that silence can be just as destructive as action. The family was left divided not because love was missing, but because trust was stretched to its breaking point. And now the biggest questions remain unanswered. Is the danger truly over, or was this only the calm before something worse? Can a past like this ever really be escaped, or does it simply wait for the right moment to return? And most importantly, can trust be rebuilt after secrets this deep finally come to light? These are the questions that linger long after the story ends, and they're the same questions fans everywhere are debating right now. This is where you come in. Your voice matters. Your perspective matters. Because stories like this don't live in isolation. They spark conversations about accountability, family, and the real cost of choices made in desperation. Do you believe redemption is possible when the stakes are this high? Do you think honesty came too late, or was it the only thing that could still save this family? Emotions ran high throughout this story, but the debate is far from over. If this story gripped you, disturbed you, or made you think twice about how the past can shape the present, make sure you show your support. Hit that like button so more people can hear this story and join the conversation. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next, because stories like this always have another chapter waiting to unfold. And most importantly, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you stand with protecting family at all costs, or do you believe some mistakes are too big to outrun? Do you think the truth should have come out sooner, or was survival the only priority at the time? The comment section is where this story continues, and your opinion could spark the next big discussion. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it, someone who believes the past always stays buried, or someone who understands how quickly life can change when secrets come into the light. Because stories like this aren't just entertainment. They're warnings. They're reflections, and sometimes they're mirrors. Stay tuned, stay engaged, and remember, every story has more than one side. This one is far from finished.